The engine is starting up.
For launch. GC, go. Guidance, go. Fido, go. Prop, go. GNC, go. Max, go. Eagle, go. Ecom,
go. Pending final steps. The cabin link check.
3, 2, 1.
Is there anyone here that would like to communicate with us? Can you give us a sign?
Welcome to the R.I.F.T Nation Network, the RNN, putting a slide in your glide and a dip in your hip. Welcome to the mothership, the home of the travelers of the universe. With shows throughout the week, you can find us at Instagram, Twitch, Facebook, YouTube, Spotify, and more. Everything you could want, everything you can need right here, right now. From the paranormal to the supernatural. From comedy to the spiritual. And now, your featured show. Shall we begin?
It's showtime, folks!
Podcast may contain material that some listeners may find sensitive, offensive, or disturbing. We strive to create respectful and informative content, but topics discussed may include mature themes such as violence, explicit language, or controversial subjects, triggering content including discussions related to mental health, trauma, or other sensitive issues, explicit language. Occasionally, our guests or hosts may use strong language. While we aim to handle these topics with care and empathy, we encourage listeners to exercise discretion. If you find any content distressing, consider skipping or seeking support. Remember that this podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. If you need assistance, please consult a qualified expert.
Hello, good evening, friends. How are you guys? Come on in. Welcome, welcome. Hello, Miss Lee. Hello, Miss Linda. Hello, Miss Denise. I hope you all are doing well. Come on in. It's another Wednesday evening on the R.I.F.T Nation Network. And I am streaming live Mysteries Beyond the Scenes. I'm your host, Joni Skinner. I hope everybody's doing great. How are you, Cindy? Thank you, aren't they? Thank you, Linda. Thank you. I like the ending of how the little lights turn different colors. I want to get those for my yard this year. Just how they they change colors. So welcome, everybody. I hope y'all are doing well. Hello, KL. How are you, my dear? Welcome, everybody. Come on in. Happy St. Patrick's Day, everybody. I've got my St. Patrick's Day headband on. I hope you all are doing well. Gosh, everybody's tuning in tonight. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Thank you. Please share and like. I have a packed show tonight. And where's Miss Tammy at, Lee? Every time I have like 2 or 3 cases on here, because Tammy is notorious for saying, why don't you have more than, I love when you have 2 cases on. I have 3 tonight. I have 3. It is great to see everyone. Please like and share, everybody. It's great to see everybody. With St. Patty's Day coming up, I hope you all have wonderful plans for the weekend. So I've got a packed show tonight. Let's get started. I hate to say this, but in the, we've been in the true crime with mysteries and astrology for a fairly long time. You guys have been with me. So you all know that the lunar eclipse is going to be Friday night. It never fails. And I have no idea why this occurs, but always, without fail, during a lunar eclipse, people are found. And sure enough, this week, a case that we looked at last year, Tyler Goodrich from out in Nebraska. And I remember Lisa and Gail talked about this, and Lisa had texted me this week and said they believe they had found Tyler Goodrich, which we covered this extensively. He, and you guys will remember when we go through some of the slides, I know you will. And he was found. They're still performing the autopsy. That's a little weird, though. We're going to have to take a good look at that one tonight because it's a little weird. And then baby Dane was found, who we covered that story last week. If you all remember, baby Dane was the 2-year-old that wandered off, as toddlers often do, especially boys, and 2-year-old baby Dane from Oregon was found. And then I've got another story too, just to bring in some of the information on kids that are lured over social media. I think it's important to bring this up. And I also included some stats too with Miranda's story. This is a tragic story of hers. So we've got 3 tonight. So thank you guys. Thank you for tuning in. So let's get started. Don't forget to wear your green this week. Now, this is the story of Tyler Goodrich. If y'all remember when we covered this, Tyler was loved by everyone, friendly. He had more friends. The community was just beside themselves. And if you recall, we'll go over his story. Tyler, what happened with Tyler is that his partner, who was not a person of interest in the case, they had an argument. 911 had been called, and Tyler was an avid runner. Now, if you recall, Tyler was seen running. And here's the Lancaster County Sheriff's Office. They released the video of Tyler running down the road following the argument that he had with his partner. And what had happened is Tyler was not seen or heard from following that run. And if you all recall, we went over his chart, the mapping, and we thought, could it have been a wild animal? Could it have been this? Could it have been that? Well, 18 months later, and here we go, they were, this was the search effort that came out for Tyler and the community everywhere. They searched everywhere. But I think maybe, and as you recall, here's his chart. We did the chart. Let's see, we did the charting, did the mapping, and it was by the park. Okay, so I circled, guess what, as the mapping, the mapping with the crime charts, it's mind-boggling. He was found right where I circled in that area, the big purple line. Now, he was found in a wooded area by a tree. They recovered his watch, his wallet, his phone, clothing, everything. An autopsy is being performed. So we're going to find out what the autopsy says. But he was found at, like I said, by the Highway 77, by the purple, see the purple circle. Now, this is what I thought about this. If you look where I concentrated at the time Tyler went missing, I concentrated on the park because Tyler used to run at the park area. So it makes complete sense that maybe Tyler, fell in a ravine. He was, maybe got, with an animal, something occurred. I don't know. That particular area, a man was walking his dog and found him. So, that area was searched. However, that's a big however. Like I said, this could have been just a circumstance where they concentrated on the park areas more so than that one lone line over there is where he was found. Right at that intersection, like where it makes a T, right by Highway 77. So that's just a sad story. But again, the astrology, spot on with the mapping. The chart is what I interpret. So that I can make a lot of errors with the chart, but the mapping, I'm telling you, the mapping is it's spot on. It never fails. It never fails. So that's Tyler's story. Say some prayers out to his family. Look at that. Here were they had the volunteers. Look at all those people that searched. Again, I think that it was concentrated in the park area. That's just my thought. Just my thought. I don't know. What do you guys think? Do you all remember this case when we touched on it? It was all over the internet because Tyler was very, very popular, and it made all the rounds on social media. It was a big case. So, I'm glad the family has closure. But again, it's around eclipse time. So that's Tyler's story. And here were the organized search efforts, etc. Okay. So here is our second story for the evening, Miss Tammy. That's what I said, Tammy, to Lee. I said, where's Tammy? She's always saying, oh, I love it when there's 2 or 3 cases on here. And I got 3 cases now for you, Miss Tammy. Now, I'm presenting, this is kind of a little off the grid, Miranda Corsetti. And I think this is just a reminder that when we have teenagers in a home, to monitor their cell phones. I know that, it can be uncomfortable, but I think that people should monitor their children's cell phones. And this is the reason why. Now, this story is so tragic, but I think it's a reminder of what's out there and what can happen to our very innocent teenagers. And she is a 16-year-old from St. Petersburg, Florida. And this is a very sad, sad case. She met a gentleman named Stephen Gress, 35 years old, online. She's 16, okay? Social media. They met on social media. On February the 14th, he picked her up, took her to his home, okay, where he lives with a partner, okay? Miranda returned home. He took her back home. She returned back to his house the next day on February 15th. Now, police feel that on February 20th, she was beaten due to a missing piece of jewelry, and she was not reported missing until February 24th by her mother. Miranda was homeschooled, okay, 16. Sometime between the 20th and the 24th, she was unalived by Gress and his partner. So Gress put Miranda in his trunk and took her to Largo in Florida, where she was dismembered, put into a dumpster, and now they're searching a landfill for her. And that's her story. What happened is a witness came forward. There is Gress right there, the partner, and there is Miranda in the middle. And I think it's just important to note that our children that are 16 that are meeting these monsters via social media. So I think it's important, just as a reminder out there, to say, hey, check their phones. If you have a teen, there's nothing wrong with checking your phones. And they have both been charged. What happened is a witness came forward. And turned them in. Thank goodness for a witness. And he had been subsequently arrested on March the 5th for other charges, drug charges, and he pointed a harpoon at his partner. So he was in jail. The partner was pretty much on the run, and she turned herself in. So I looked up some stats, and 87% of minors that are trafficked, kidnapped, or disappear, 87% of them are lured. Many of them on social media. And Pew Research did a poll, and the kids are on YouTube is the number one viewing is on YouTube. Second is TikTok, Instagram, and Snapchat. 15% said they are on YouTube daily. 39% said several times a day. And that's frightening. That's frightening for those kids to be on there that long. So I was surprised, YouTube Reels are a lot like TikTok. So I think the kids are on YouTube a lot, but TikTok and Instagram and Snapchat. And also another big statistic that I saw was that in Mexico, 93% of all crimes against women are not prosecuted. 93% of all crimes against women are not prosecuted. Now, in Houston, they just arrested 646 migrant illegals. 543 of them were gang members. 140 were hardened felons. 34 of them were sex offenders. 38 illegal firearms charges. 52 drug charges. 51 had property crimes charges, and 93 repeated DUIs. Those are frightening statistics of what's out there and what our kids, I think it's important that we spread this information. And I think it's very important that, with Miranda's story, I think it should be told. As gruesome and as horrific and as horrible as it is, she was lured by nothing other than a monster. This is a monster. This is no different than Stephen Stearns with Madeline, with Maddie. This is just, they're out there, and we need to protect our kids more. So keep an eye on all their phones. I don't know how parents do it nowadays, but it's frightening. But I think it's important to tell her story. It's a sad, tragic story, but it happens. And they're out there. You know, back in the day when I was younger, way back in the day, they would hang out in movie theaters. They would. They would be in the movie theaters. Now they're behind computers. So we need to keep the word out and protect our children, especially our teenage girls, and talk to them about these people that lure kids. 35 years old, lured her, and she went back the next day. So it's just very, very sad. So that's her story. Yeah, Lois, it is, isn't it, Denise? It is so sad. It's very sad. Very sad. TikTok, Snapchat. Yep, that's it. And none on Facebook. But we know that. Everybody that, I don't think anybody under 50 is on Facebook anymore. That's crazy. I know. Yep. And I'm glad that these gang members are getting out of here. We need them out. A lot of this gang activity is involved with a lot of the TRAFF, which you can't really say that word anymore, but that's a lot of that is. And they also, from what I understand, from what we're going to hear within the next week or two, I've talked about the missing children that came across the border with no DNA testing. And I remember I was complaining about it when it was at 70,000 and then it was at 300,000. Now they are saying the numbers are closer to 400,000. And what they're finding out from these cases now, because the children are indeed being rounded up at this point, that a lot of these kids came across, were resold again, abused, and sent back over again repeatedly by the cartels. So the children came over across with people that were not their parents and were repeated, and it was repeated and abused. So that's going to come out within the next couple of weeks, apparently, that the numbers look like they're about 400,000 in the past 4 years. So, here's Lee. Hi, Miss Kathy. How are you? Hi, I was looking on Facebook. We were just talking about Facebook. So that's Miranda's story, and we'll keep her mother in our prayers. And just sad, but I thought this is an important story. It needs to be told. Miranda's little story needs to be told. Thanks, you guys, for tuning in again. And now we've got our little story where we did last week on Dane. And what happened with little Dane was he was out in the front yard at 4:30 in the afternoon and took off. The family home was about 100 yards from the river. And we looked at this case last week, and it's a very, very sad case. He was found. What happened is there was a gentleman that drove 12 hours from, I can't remember where he drove from, but it took him 12 hours. He was a diver, and he volunteered to do search and rescue on his own. He was a volunteer by himself, and he said that he would camp on the riverbank, and I think this was like his 6th or 7th recovery on a river for families, because he wanted to put families, that's what he feels his mission is to help the families get closure. And he drove 12 hours and slept on the riverbank and camped and was up and down the river looking for the baby. Now, and look at this. I wanted to show you guys this. You know, the chart, when we look at the chart, we look at in astrology, the sign and the planet will give you a degree, a degree. So the ascendant, which is the first house, and what is called the IC, which is the fourth house, has a degree with it. So you can either add up those two numbers, you look at them, you can decide what the mileage would be on how close it would be to find the person. When I looked at the mileage, it was 16 on the IC and 14 on the AC. What's 14 and 16? 30, 3.0. Little Dane was found 3 miles from the home. He had gone downriver 3 miles. I thought, well, it's the chart. It tells us, and we knew it was water because remember you guys last week, we looked at the 8th house and it's all Pisces. It's just all water. It's complete water, an accident. And so he was found in the water by this diver who goes around and does this. Like I said, he drove 12 hours. But once again, the AC and the IC told us on the astrology chart that it was 3. So I could have either used 3 miles, 30 miles, or 300 miles, or 1.4 and 1.6. I used 1.6. That's what I used. So see, like I said, the chart is completely interpretation by what I do. Had I used the 3 miles, it would have been at the exact mark of where the little one's remains were. But I didn't add them together. You can add them together. And Linda, that's such what a kind man. He teared up. He was so visibly shaken. And he said, I've got 12 hours to fall apart on my way home. But this is something that I do for the families. Kind. I mean, these people, Linda, people like that are people like Tammy and people like Michael Hadsell. They are honestly earth angels to go out and do what they do. It's phenomenal. And when I see stuff like that gentleman, that captain, or what was his name? Diver, I forget what his name was, but he had diver on his shirt. As a volunteer diver that camps on the riverbank and dives. And people like Tammy that go out, and people like Michael, and that's why I do what I do, because of them. Because if it weren't for them, and the funny thing is, search and rescue groups, which to me is just it's mind-boggling. It's mind-blowing. They get zero money from the government to help them. Everything that search and rescue groups that are volunteer, that they do not charge the families, they're all volunteer, get zero funding to help the American citizens. And I think that needs to change. And I don't know why we're giving money out to everybody, and for God knows what, who knows, to watch mice on drugs, but we can't give our search and rescue people money. I think that would be something that would be a real cause for that the search and rescue groups could get grants to help them with equipment, with drones, with boats, because they are so such a huge part of what helps the families, because the police departments are understaffed. It's the volunteers that really get out there and do the really hard work. Bach found a guy in the water last year. The family hired a diver to go in the morning and pull him out. Yeah. See, you guys, just that's what drives you all. And you see it with people like Tammy and Michael, and of course the diver that found this little one. It's a passion. It burns them. They can't they can do nothing else. It's what drives them. Agree. I know, Keith. Isn't it funny that they can pay millions of dollars to watch transgender rats or do whatever for $2 billion, but we can't give our search and rescue people, $10,000 for drones. It's mind-boggling. Game warden dredged 3 days, couldn't find him. Bach's not even trained. He's my hero. All search and rescue animals are just heroes. They're all heroes. And we have to get Michael on here with our little new otter friend, because he's training an otter now. He's training the otter to do search and rescue in the river with the harness. So we got to get Michael in here and show us the otters. It is pathetic. Now, the line that goes right down to where it says Siletz River, that is at 1.6 miles out. If you extend it down another 1.3 miles down west, if you go west another 1.3 miles on that line that's by Siletz River, that's where he was found, down in that area. So that's where he was found. And so if I would have extended it out, it would have taken him right down to where the baby was found. I don't think yeah, that's the only one. That is so cool about the otter. It's amazing to watch Michael's videos of him training the otter, training Splash. Splash is completely trained. He's like a dog. He's just like a little dog in the home. He's like a pet. It's pathetic. It is. Lisa is late for the party. Lisa, Lisa is who, and I'm going to go up here because you were late, but that's okay, Lisa. Lisa is from the area and had texted me this week that Tyler had been found. And so we were just talking about this, Lisa, that Tyler was so very popular. The whole community came out to find him. And then even with this old slideshow, if you remember, Lisa, everybody went out and searched for him. And we had thought possibly, well, I wonder if it could have been an animal or an accident. If you recall, here was the video. Look at this. Look at the search and rescue. Look at this. Here we go. I mean, it was huge. Lisa, what I was thinking about, and Gail had even texted me about it today too. If you look at this map where the blue and the orange circles are, I'm just thinking out loud about this. I don't know. But Tyler was found where the purple circle is on Highway 77, right at that an intersection right there in a wooded area around the Yankee Hill area. My thought process is, we all know that Tyler was a runner and that he ran in that park. So he was found in the opposite direction of where he always would run. So naturally, the search efforts, I imagine, were all around the area where the orange, I circled the blue park. So that's why I'm wondering if that could possibly be the reason why he was never located. Maybe they just didn't even search on the Highway 77 area. So Lisa and Gail, do you know if they did? Now, in the press releases, they claimed that this had been an area that had been previously searched. But it's easy to miss people sometimes. So, you know, and Tammy, I know you can attest to that as well. Correct. And Lisa chimes in with more. Yeah, they found his wallet, a key, a watch in the area. But those belongings weren't there when the body was found. Really? Well, that's even more interesting. Well, I think we're going to have to wait and see what the autopsy comes back as, because that's an interesting development if those things were found, but those belongings weren't there when the body was found. Oh, did they search on Highway 77 several times, or did they concentrate more on the park? I'm just trying to give them a little bit of the benefit of the doubt as well. I don't know. Now, that's interesting. How did his items, how come they were not found originally? We're going to take a look at this chart again. Okay, let's blow this up a little. Now, okay, I'm going to blow this up a little. If we look at the ascendant, which would be Tyler, it's Gemini. Gemini is telling us that there could possibly be two people. Libra and Gemini in a crime chart scream two people at us. We see the moon that represents Tyler. He was in the neighborhood. Okay. We also see what's odd about this chart is we see Tyler is represented by Mercury in the 6th house, which would be Tyler. He was running, health, 6th house, health. But what I noticed today is the sun is right next to Mars, which could indicate. Now, I'm just saying if he didn't unalive himself and this was nefarious, that could be the sun always represents an older man. Mars is next to that, which could be violence, could be a weapon. So we've got, what else do we have? The camera would be Neptune, but that goes right to a female. So we've also got a female with Venus. So we've got a female and an older man. The remains are up in the 10th house, which would be out in the open. Out in the open. Unexpected. So the 12th house is what is hidden. 12th house would be unexpected. Chaos. Could also mean railroad tracks. So that's interesting. So we're going to have to see. That's what, let's see, there's Pluto. Hidden, unexpected hidden. But everything goes to Tyler to that 6th house, which is day-to-day routine, house of health, Gemini, Jupiter. The perp is in the 12th house. This could, the perp, if there is a perp, let's say this is nefarious. Let's say they come back and say, oh, it was shady. If, and that's a big if, because we don't know. Hidden. So it would have been somebody that was hiding. And it goes right to that older man. That's interesting. Older man hidden. And there's a female. Unexpected. Just kind of weird. So it's an iffy chart. Clearly his remains, Saturn, 10, are out in the open. They're up at the top of the chart. So that's interesting. I don't know if that gives a little bit more clarity or not. I don't know. Does that make any sense, Lisa? And Gail, you're a little bit more in the area and can hear gossip and other things. Okay. Everyone thinks the police and sheriff office has botched the investigation. Interesting. People suspect something to do with it. When she would talk to police, she kept changing her story. Interesting. Well, there's a female involved. Venus would be the female. Venus would be the female. And Gail. Could he have been moved there? Absolutely. Absolutely. And Tammy, it happens all the time, doesn't it, Tammy? It happens all the time, Gail. It is not unusual for them to be moved. It's not unusual at all. Not unusual. That's everybody's theory except for the police. Well, I think if his belongings were not there when he was found, and then when they searched again and found his belongings, I think that's more than a frickin' red flag. I mean, that red flag doesn't have to hit me in the head. That's a huge red flag. That's huge. Okay, here we go. And Lisa said, the guy that found him said he was tied to the tree upside down and his head was hanging above his body. Tied to a tree upside down and his head was hanging above his body. Yeah, well, okay. Okay. Could that have been an unaliving situation? Oh, he was tied to the tree. Tied to the tree. Tree would be Taurus in the 12th house. That would be wooded area. Is there water around where he was, possibly where he could have been moved? Is there an area where there's water? Because according to this chart, there's water. There's water. Let's look. Look at the map. Wonder what the autopsy is going to say. Is there, I guess they don't, what are they saying? That we're just going to have to wait for the autopsy? Is that what they're saying now? Oh, I'm sure there's little ponds and everything around that area. So that's interesting. So now our mystery has gotten to be even a bigger mystery. Well, that's excellent. That's an excellent point. Excellent point. How did they miss pinging his phone? How did they miss pinging his phone? The phone was there. There's one more of my comments you need to read. Okay. Okay, here's this comment. They found his wallet. We got that one. Is it above that, Lisa? They searched the area several times. The guy that found him said he was tied to the tree, upside down, and his head was hanging. Everybody thinks the police and sheriff has botched the investigation. Police suspect his MIL has something to do with it. When she would talk to the police, she continued to change her story. Hi, Michelle. How did they miss pinging the phone? Here's Miss Linda. Oh, my God. Awful. Did not hear about that, Lee. Head was tied to the tree above his upside down body. So, like, bunched up? Okay. Oh, that's okay, hon. Well, you know, we're going to have to watch this mystery. What are your all's thoughts? I mean, do you think it's nefarious? Do you think it's in... Now, I will tell you this, in a crime chart, if Pluto is in the 12th or Uranus is in the 8th house, that can indicate an unaliving that they do to themselves, that it's intention, that they commit an unaliving to themselves. And that's not the case in his chart. It's not, but I'm not saying it couldn't happen, but it's not in the chart, and it shows up a lot with unaliving when somebody does it with their own hands. So if something nefarious did happen, I think he was definitely moved and placed there, because it's a wooded area as well. Things would have been spread out, especially the belongings. Animals can wreak havoc to that. So you guys, those are our stories tonight. And everybody, please keep us posted if you hear anything. Lisa and Gail, keep us posted, and I'll update everybody in the chat. I'll update all of our viewers and listeners, because it's an interesting story. I feel bad because Tyler was so well loved in his community, and he was great for the community. He did a lot of wonderful things for that community. So it's sad to see that. It's very sad. So you guys, that is, and I'm sure this week with the lunar eclipse, we will possibly have some more people that are found. I pray that they are, for the families. And if not, we will go through and look at some old cold cases and just keep up with the cases that are happening right now. There's a lot of things happening right now, so we'll keep everybody posted. But those are our 3 stories for tonight. I feel like I rushed through them because I wanted to get through them. But I think those stats are very important as well, that we pass the word about, cell phones and the monsters that are out there, especially the ones that they still haven't caught yet, and they're rounding them up now, because these are not nice people. They're not nice people. That is, if those children have made it across the border and are still alive, ones that are alive. So you guys, that's the show for the evening. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for tuning in. Keep me doing, love what I do. So have a great St. Patty's Day, and watch this weather pattern that's going to affect it seems like all of the U.S. with huge winds, tornadoes tomorrow and over the weekend, a lot of rain and snows and blizzards. So just be very, very careful and be weather aware. Be very weather aware. Be careful. It's a lunar eclipse. And you know, lunar eclipse just make the energy pretty wonky. So just be careful. Just be kind and be careful to everybody because it's a wild one. So have a great week. And I will see you guys next week for another mysteries beyond the scenes. So thanks you guys for tuning in. And I will see you all next week. Have a great week. Have a great weekend. Good night.